Well, Florida's effort to combat human trafficking is still a work in progress. A first-of-its-kind report on the buying and selling of human beings for sex or labor shows that nearly 3 out of every 100 Floridians is being trafficked. And the hope is that the report will set the path for both prevention and enforcement in the years ahead. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank is in the newsroom tonight to explain it all for us. Evan?
Allie, this report is being considered the most comprehensive effort by a state to understand the problem of human trafficking. It found that half of those being sold for sex and a quarter of those being forced to work are under 18. Gabrielle Triplett is no faceless statistic.
Somebody like me who was older, who was homeless, who had a drug addiction, I thought in my mind I deserved everything that happened to me.
For a year, she lived the life of a slave, sold for sex by a so-called boyfriend who wound up shooting and almost killing her. He first found her on the streets of Sarasota.
They work on building relationships with people. They work on finding out what their vulnerabilities are, what their weaknesses are, and then they exploit those.
This study says there are 200,000 Floridians who are living as sex slaves and another 500,000 being forced to work. The study was done by USF St. Pete after a 2023 state law required the collection of data so the problem can finally be stopped.
It isn't only just the first report Florida has ever done. We don't know of any other state that has done it to this level and this magnitude.
The 143-page report goes through efforts each county makes to identify victims, describes how many prosecutions are done, and how many commercial sex ads there are. This graph shows Tampa has the third most ads in the state for prostitutes, signifying demand. Researchers have found the public to be in denial about the scope of the problem and that funding is lacking for those who need housing while they're trying to escape a trafficker.
So one of the goals is doing this every year will allow us to see and measure and track the data over time.
Florida's unlucky in that it has a plethora of large cities all connected by highways, slews of big events, and large airports and seaports. But the basics of it, Triplett says, is that the myth that trafficking starts with a kidnapping and a dungeon has to be busted.
Prevention is key, so we can educate our youth and equip them with the knowledge and tools to stay safe before they fall into the hands of these traffickers.
The report does applaud Florida's efforts to get a hold of the problem, saying that prosecutions have increased along with cooperation between agencies. But as long as Florida is a hotbed of things like tourism, entertainment, agriculture, there will always be demand and populations susceptible to the desperation that leads to someone being trafficked. Allie.
It is so alarming. All right, Evan Axelbank in our newsroom tonight. Evan, thank you.